No, if you want the
13.
actual
8
unironic
through
count,
13.
it's 5. There are 5 Oceans movies.
Yeah, because it's
Are
the
we
original,
There's
the
original, there's
Soderbergh
Ocean's-
trilogy,
yeah,
and
and
then
then
Ocean's
So wait,
8.
so it's 11 plus 11, that's 22, plus 12, that's 33, plus
Plus 13, that's
46,
46
plus
and-
8. That's 54. There's
We
been
have
54
media
ocean
degrees.
movies.
We don't have
can't- we
math
can't
or
do
accounting
math.
degrees.
Math is for fucking losers.
I-
See, that's
Imagine getting a
wild.
STEM degree.
They-
Losers.
In this economy,
They,
Oh
they
my
call me the
God.
media mathematician.
I'm
They
glad
call
they
me the math
I'm glad
guy.
they finally found a franchise that has more sequels than Naked Gun.
I'm like Ben Affleck in the
No.
Accountant.
Famously got 33 and a third.
Yeah, exactly.
Movies.
That's a
Yeah.
lot of movies.
I'm also like
Yeah.
Ben Affleck in the Drunk Basketball Coach movie.
I'm like Casey Affleck in real life, in which I beat women.
Yeah, I'm like Casey Affleck in Gone Girl because I killed the dad of a girl or something.
I think that was the plot of that movie.
I'm like Casey Affleck in
that's
Manchester
Gone-
by the Sea
that's Gone
because I'm
Baby
an
Gone.
alcoholic.
It's Gone Baby Gone.
hey, cheers,
That was-
bro. I'll
Yeah,
drink to
Gone-
that.
Yeah,
Yeah, Gone Girl is different.
Gone Girl, Gone. Gone Baby.
Gone Girl has
Gone.
Ben Affleck in it.
Yeah,
Weird that they're both in girl movies. Also, Jersey Girl and Gone Girl. That's the same.
they should.
It's
Same
the same.
universe.
It's the same universe. The
View
girl that
askew.
gets gone
Two-
is his daughter
Made by
from Jersey Girl.
2 auteur directors, Kevin Smith and David Fincher. Of
Well,
course.
Of course, they
Well,
work close together.
I don't think you're allowed to call them auteurs anymore. I think it's on the spectrum.
It's neurodivergent directors is what you
neurodivergent
have to call them.
directors.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
They should make a
How
gone,
could I forget?
a
I'm such a
gone Jersey baby girl gone. You know, like a full like 3-way crossover movie.
You mean an incestuous gangbang of a movie?
Yeah.
That's also what Casey Affleck and Ben Affleck do in their free time.
Yeah.
They're just
And of
the
course-
Eiffel towering their sister.
But we're forgetting about the Amanda Seyfried movie Gone. Where does that fit in this universe?
It's there in the title.
I
Did you
literally
guys
It
hear me
fits.
say
It fits in the universe where I look up celebrity jihad nude topless pics of Amanda Seyfried.
Celebrity jihad? What?
That's how you know I have a porn addiction.
Wait, is there? Hang on. Is there like a fucking website for celebrity nudes called Celebrity Jihad?
It's like a Mr. Skin like knockoff. You know
Oh.
what Mr. Skin is?
No, I don't.
Randy is absolutely the type of guy that would open the puzzle box from Hellraiser.
Oh,
He would seek it
pleasure
out.
of the flesh.
Yeah.
He would.
Dude,
He
listen,
would
did you
scare
see
them.
Jamie Clayton as Pinhead? Oh my
Yeah.
god! I already
I mean,
was.
it's-
I already
it's
had
out.
the hots for Jamie Clayton, but
I already had the hots for Pinhead.
I know, same.
Has anybody watched the new Eraserhead? Or not Eraserhead, sorry. The new
Hellraiser.
Hellraiser.
It hasn't come out yet.
Comes
Yeah,
out
it's not-
Friday.
Yeah,
I thought it
it's on
was.
Friday.
Comes out Friday, yeah.
I'm excited for it.
Very
I
excited.
think I might see it Friday.
I wish
I
it
had-
was.
maybe. I
I
don't
wish
know.
it was released theatrically.
Yeah,
I wish
I-
Prey was released theatrically too, but you know those cocksuckers at
I'm
Disney.
I'm just glad the movies are coming out.
I'm just glad they're coming out. What's so weird? It still maintains to me like it's just bizarre. They are horror films.
Yeah.
They will always do good in theaters.
Well, and it's like I guess this isn't really a horror film, but it's got horror aesthetics. It's like Rob Zombie's Monsters movie. It's like it's so weird. I remember hearing about that movie.
Yeah, but
released
to
with
be
the
fair,
advertising.
Monsters-
it got dropped straight to
Because
Netflix like
the
a week
difference
ago.
is that one's gonna be more of a family film, and it's
Yeah.
also like a low budget. And since it's not horror, actually, it is not gonna probably do as
yeah,
well.
no.
in
I
the
mean,
box
it was
office.
probably gonna bomb, but it's still like I imagine
I
it
looked
maybe.
I looked at clips of that like from the actual finished product, and it is astounding how fucking bad it looks.
Yeah.
because I know he wanted to go for cheesy props and aesthetic. Like that's fine, but it's not like he's like leaning into making it look like 70s, 60s cheesy.
Yeah.
it looks like cheesy by now standards.
Well, like
Which it's like if you look at as much as we have issues with WandaVision, those first like 2-3 episodes before they
they look great.
MCU went full into the MCU. Those it's cheesy, but it looks amazing because they put a lot of money into it
Yeah.
to make it
Yeah.
accurately like it would have been made back then.
Well, and it's like you look at the Monsters. People are like, oh, Rob Zombie made a Monsters porn parody without any sex or mature
No,
content.
exactly. It's
But
basically it.
it's like he even said like Paramount wouldn't let me film it on film. They wouldn't let me film it in black and white. And it's like I imagine if the Monsters, because the way it's shot looks like the original show. If it was filmed in black and white and it was filmed on film, it would visually probably look a lot better. It might
maybe-
still not be a great movie.
Maybe it's one of those things where it's like I don't know if I have faith in that because we did just on the YouTube channel watched the video. You might look for it. It's called "This Remake is Insane," in which we did a commentary for Rob Zombie's 2007 Halloween. Yes, I know that was a shameless plug.
Dig through the ditches and burn through the witches.
Yeah,
I'm saying in the
exactly.
back of my
But
Dragula.
like even when we were watching that, it's like, yeah, that movie holds up better than I thought it would, genuinely. But there are still moments where it's like Rob Zombie as a director just like isn't quite there. He's competent, he has some good ideas, but he's always still a little shitty. I think about when I was editing it, that scene where it was like slow-mo, where time's supposed to be frozen and like all the cops are arrived, and it just looks kind of shitty. It wasn't quite there.
And that might be the case. And I hear this about directors all the time. And I really do get wanting to critique people for the better. But it's just like, I mean, at this point, Rob Zombie is who he is.
Yeah.
Like, that is his style. And there are absolutely things he could do better in, say, The Monsters or Halloween or whatever. I don't like everything and every decision in these movies, but I like the fact that Rob Zombie movies exist, and every once in a while you get a movie like that.
Yeah, well, I really like the reason why I have that like kind of disappointment with a lot of his work is because I think The Devil's Rejects is like amazing.
It's fantastic.
And it looks really good because it's not trying to look amazing. It's meant to look like a grindhouse hillbilly or hellbilly film, and it nails it. It nails the aesthetic properly, and it shows that he can nail a retro aesthetic. Now, probably, as you said, Paramount not letting him shoot on film, not putting it black and white, that probably hindered him quite a bit. But it's like I keep chasing that dragon of like Devil's Rejects with him, because even House of a Thousand Corpses is like not quite there. It's not quite there yet. But Devil Reject happens, and you're like, oh, it's the same concept but done better. Yeah. And then Three from Hell is garbage.
Yeah, no, but you have to think about it like this.
Bad.
Like for Rob Zombie, I think in his mind, it's not that Devil's Rejects was an evolution from House of a Thousand Corpses. It's just the other side of House of a Thousand Corpses.
House of a Thousand Corpses is just like very grindhousey thing.
Then you have Three from Hell, which is also just the other side of House of a Thousand Corpses. It's still following the same. What was their names in that? It's the.
I don't remember.
Something family.
It's
but it follows them and Three from Hell, and it's bad. Also, it retcons the ending of Devil's Rejects, and it's awful. But
I thought the whole concept of Three from Hell was like they died and they went to hell, and they were literally so evil hell kicked them out.
I think the disconnect with Rob Zombie movies is that it's like you look at Halloween and Halloween 2, and you look at Devil's Rejects and House of a Thousand Corpses. Most people say, yeah, I mean, it's not great, but I kind of like Rob Zombie's Halloween.
What in the fuck was that?
What was that?
Did the mixer just do that?
God damn it, the mixer's sentient now.
Oh my god.
What?
It was a weird DJ scratch sound.
It's remixing.
I don't know why it's doing that. It shouldn't.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're having some technical difficulties. We'll be right back.
No, it actually is just doing it on its own for some reason.
That's okay.
I'm gonna leave that in. That's funny.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be real.
No, I mean, like we can talk.
No. But my point was, because I didn't get to finish it, is Halloween. Most people say, "Oh, I like it's Halloween 2007. I like Devil's Rejects." But I really don't like Halloween 2. That one was just kind of weird. And I don't like House of a Thousand Corpses. It's just kind of weird. And they are weird. But that is Rob Zombie. He makes the dark grindhouse.
Yeah.
And he makes the weird, wacky grindhouse.
Yeah, and I don't know. It's just like part of why I love Devil's Rejects is that it is this satirical, funny look at like what's the mind of a serial killer and what it's like to be a serial killer, and it's a very grimy look at it, which is a similar concept but done very differently. In today's movie, American Psycho, that's today's movie that we were talking about. We watched American Psycho. Go ahead and get some info from our boy David over here to my right. David, give us the rundown real fast.
I feel like there were probably better ways to go about that transition.
No, that was fine.
I genuinely did want to do the transition, but you go ahead.
Okay, all right. Well, so American Psycho, the film was released in 2000, directed by Mary Harron, and I think it was her second movie after she had a big break with her debut film, I Shot Andy Warhol, which is a very good little movie. Watch it if you get the chance. I also learned that she was was and still kind of is a TV director. Like she directed some episodes of Oz. Some episodes of The L Word.
I get that.
Yeah, and the Constantine TV show, the CW one, I think. She directed
NBC.
Okay.
NBC.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You're right. And then a couple other ones that I don't really remember. But obviously based off of book by Bret Easton Ellis, released in 1991. When the book came out, it was a big hit, but as you can imagine, extremely controversial. People particularly had a big problem with the graphic
How
violence.
American and psychotic it
Yeah.
was. This is
The,
too American,
which is very similar to like its inspiration, Psycho. Which when that book came out, it was also like a big fucking controversy. Same with the movie. later on.
Yeah, people
Wait,
walking out going, "That was so psychotic."
Wait,
was so
Psycho,
psycho.
Psycho was a book?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alfred
know that shit.
Hitchcock's
Yeah.
psychotic.
That's crazy.
Well, when the original Psycho came out, like Alfred Hitchcock did something that's kind of crazy. He went and bought as many copies of the book as possible. That way, nobody could read it before they went to watch the movie.
What a king.
I also just
Yeah.
love how it's like I don't know who gave that story, but I just love it. The idea of he's like, yeah, I went out and I bought every copy of Psycho, and it's just like he went to 2 bookstores.
Yeah,
and-
for
and
real.
bought-
I mean, this was the 1960s.
Yeah,
so,
hey, listen, books back then cost like a nickel. So
It's so crazy. I keep forgetting he's not British.
I mean, well, just listen to him talk. He's extremely
Yeah.
British.
Is he British?
Alfred Hitchcock?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, he
Yeah.
was.
I thought he was
Extremely.
American,
No.
and I just everyone thought he was British.
Suck
No.
my cock, Maurice.
no,
Yep.
no, he's British.
Okay, all right,
He,
shit.
I mean,
Apparently, also a weird kind of sex pest monster.
Someone get
I mean,
that
that is-
chimpanzee to
He's
suck
British,
my
so
cock.
that's believable.
they
yeah.
literally he was too obese for the British Army.
I'm
They drafted everyone during World War II, but not him.
And you saw Churchill. That motherfucker was fat.
I am
Yeah.
too obese to get my cock sucked by anything lesser than a chimpanzee.
Oh my
Bring me
God.
the chimpanzee now,
Oh
please.
my god! All right,
I'm too fat to join the British Army for World
Bring me a
Bring
chimpanzee.
me
I
the
want to
chimpanzee.
invent AIDS with it. Please.
I'm so fat that the bombs just bounce off me and hit my neighbors' houses.
oh my, oh my.
They
Imagine if the
these
opening
are-
of Outbreak was just like Alfred Hitchcock fucking a chimp.
Jesse, you need to work on your impression because it's terrible. Just
No,
got,
I was solely
doing-
responsible for the defense of Dunkirk by the bombs bouncing off of my fat belly.
I'm doing constructive criticism. Your impression sucks.
Oh, okay.
Alfred
get some more-
Hitchcock's Psycho is more disappointing than my son.
Now you're doing Mr. Plinkett.
It's just Mr. Plinkett.
What's
yeah.
the difference?
Yeah, true. All right, let's get a little bit more information on the movie real quick.
Okay,
American
so-
Psycho, not Psycho.
American Psycho, written by Bret Easton Ellis, came out in 1991 and was kind of written as a response to there's a book that he came out that he wrote. It was adapted into a movie which I haven't seen called Less Than Zero. Apparently, he didn't like the adaptation of the of his book, and so he set out to write a book that was basically unfilmable. That way, they couldn't make a movie off of it. And like not even a year after it came out, he had producers calling him up wanting to make a movie off of it because it was a bestseller despite the controversy, because controversy just makes people want to read it more. It's kind of funny how these things work out.
And it's funny, the whole unfilmable thing, because that was a similar mindset that both George R. R. Martin and Alan Moore took to like writing their works. And
Yeah.
both heavily adapted.
Heavily adapted, yeah.
I mean, and in George R. R. Martin's case, his IP became a huge multi-billion-dollar franchise.
Yeah.
Who would have thought?
Yeah.
Funny how that works out sometimes.
Oopies.
Fucked up
But-
what happened to Alan Moore, though.
Yeah. But the movie was the film rights for the movie were bought in like 1992 by Lionsgate, and they obviously wanted to try to make a movie as soon as possible to try to cash in on the popularity of the book. And the original hire was a guy you may have heard of called David Cronenberg.
Really?
Well, actually, that's not true. Johnny Depp was the original actor attached to star in it, and he had some other director who I don't really remember, but they
Yeah.
dropped out. And then David Cronenberg came on, and he was going to have Brad Pitt star in it.
Oh, that would have been really cool.
It would've
'cause
been really
instead
cool.
of the scene where he's pulling the face mask off his face, he would have just been just peeling his actual face off his face. That would have been really cool.
Yeah,
But
well, it was also, I think the idea was that they were going to have the American and the Psycho get caught in the machine.
Oh,
together.
then like the machine from The Fly, and they.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
my
It was
god!
gonna be like a
Yeah,
spin-off.
it's
all-
like
it's
Cletus
all-
Cassidy escapes,
Yeah.
and instead of joining with the symbiote,
Yeah, that was the original in the, because that's how it is in the book. Is Cletus Cassidy is the American Psycho,
Oh
and the
my
Carnage.
god! It's a
is taking
Carnage.
over. Yeah.
It's American Psycho let there be carnage.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, got you. That makes so much more sense. When was
Direct-
Woody? When
directed
did Woody
by Andy
Harrelson drop
Serkis.
out?
That was in 2000.
When was Tom Hardy born?
2001.
When did 9/11 happen?
He was busy doing White Man Can't Jump
didn't-
5 years before.
Tom
I
Hardy
think,
wasn't
is
in
it?
White Man Can't Jump.
Woody Harrelson, you dumb gorilla. the name I said, not the name he said.
You dumb Yakubian gorilla.
Go back to the cave you were built in by Yakub.
Moses blew me up with
I'm
dynamite.
just so everyone knows, I'm an Asian Hotep. If you were wondering,
I'm a white Hotep.
I'm just a dirty Yakubian filth.
Yeah, you are. You're gross.
I don't
Yakubian
understand
filth.
what any of these words
Don't
mean.
worry about
Don't
it.
worry, Yakub-
White devil.
I'll tell you all about it, but basically, you are white, you are sin.
I don't
Moses
you
understand.
were
will blow
built.
you up
You
with
were
dynamite.
built by an evil scientist in a cave.
You were built by an evil scientist through eugenics, and you were one of the 300 that were
It's
so
so
rowdy,
funny. It's
Moses
so-
blew you up with dynamite.
So, where does American Psycho fit into this franchise? I'm
Oh well,
curious about this.
Yakub is the American Psycho.
Okay.
No.
because
It
because
isn't-
Patrick Bateman is distilled the evil of the white man in America.
No, he's the creation. He's the Frankenstein's monster of Yakub. He's the
Uh,
perfect
well,
white
yes,
man.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. He's ultimate Yakubian.
That's why you
But he's
don't
not-
see Patrick Bateman's father, because that would
That would be
reveal,
Yakub.
that would reveal the whole twist.
Okay, unironically, I do think Patrick Bateman is meant to be this essence of like the rich white man in America, but we can get to
You
that.
think that? That's so obvious.
I mean, yeah, there's a lot to talk about with Patrick. Like, I have a lot to say about
No,
this movie. Go ahead.
I think he's
Go ahead,
more
David.
supposed to represent like the poor Hispanic communities of the 90s.
Yeah.
yeah, you're right. You're right. You're
yeah,
right.
he's straight up representation.
That's why they're talking about like.
This book was famously written by Orson Scott Card, of course.
Yeah.
Of
Yeah.
course.
I love Orson Scott Card. I love his novel, The Gay Killing Planet.
All right. So, is there any
Was
other
that the one-
background of this fucking movie we need to know before we can start talking about it?
Was that the one with Harrison Ford?
Oh my god! Just give me background on this fucking
Okay,
movie.
so-
What does Harrison Ford have to
so-
do with homophobia?
Shut up, white devil! Shut up, you white devil!
Every time Brett Easton Ellis's name comes up,
I hope you know the
imagining
thumbnail
Orson
for this
Scott Card.
episode.
That's the funniest.
I
thing
hope you
about
know
it.
that. I hope you know this episode's thumbnail will just be all of us with the Hotep hat and red glowing eyes.
Put me in a kente cloth.
Wait!
Put me in
No!
a kente cloth.
No! It'll be Hotep Bateman. It'll be Hotep Patrick Bateman.
Patrick Bateman was a black man.
So David Cronenberg, Brad Pitt. Doesn't work out. David Cronenberg, he's kind of difficult to work with. So he in the studio fought. He walks away. So does Brad Pitt. Mary Harron becomes involved, and her first and pretty much only pick for Patrick Bateman is Christian Bale. Lionsgate, the studio, was like, no, we really want Leonardo DiCaprio. He's a big name. This is post Titanic at this point when she becomes involved.
But she's like, what about the guy from the Newsies?
Yeah, she's like, what about that guy from Empire of the Sun?
What about Batman?
Yeah, because she could see into
She
the
can
future.
see the future
Yeah,
that he
no.
would become Batman. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, just like some other person whose name. I
Running bit, it's reference to other stuff. I don't
Just
know.
like Evangelion.
The Evangelion, yes.
yeah, the Evangelion movies. Who's your obligatory Evangelion reference?
But believe it or not, he's not Shinji. He is Asuka.
No, he's Gendo.
Evangelion,
No.
Kevin Smith, Kanye West. There, we got all the stupid running bits out of the way. David, continue.
So she leaves the project at this point after fighting with the studio about the initial casting for Norman.
Norman Reedus?
I almost said Norman Bates. 'cause
Norman
fucking
Bateman.
Psycho. Patrick Bateman, right? All right.
Yeah.
And so Oliver Stone becomes involved at this point, and Leonardo DiCaprio was supposed to star in it. And once again, he couldn't quite crack down the script because, he
He was
wanted
too stoned.
yeah, yeah, of course. I mean, it's his name. I mean, it comes with the
Yeah.
territory. You know what to expect when you hire Oliver Stone.
Yeah.
It's like Seth Rogen or whatever. at
He was
this
too
point.
busy trying to demolish the U.S. government.
He put
Yeah.
Cheech and Chong on the map.
Anyway, and so that winds up taking so long. It winds up taking like close to 2 years, and then winds up never happening. At this point, Lionsgate is so desperate to get the movie made. At this point, they bring on Mary Harron with the promise. She's like, "Okay, I'll do it, but only if we get Christian Bale to play as Patrick Bateman, and of course they relent, go whatever, fine, just make the fucking movie, because they wanted the movie to come out 5 years ago at this point, and it's already 1998 at this point, and they're like, just fucking make the movie. I don't care anymore. Has a pretty small budget for a movie like this, only about $7 million. But despite the reputation of this movie, it didn't actually flop. It actually made $34 million at the box office.
God damn.
Well, I didn't technically flop. I imagine the studio probably saw that as a big disappointment, considering how the book was such a big hit.
That's like 5 times the budget of the movie, though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is.
It's a
But
decent hit.
I imagine they were probably expecting more. I don't
That's
know.
fair.
You know how movie
well, I
studios.
think
are.
part of
Their math doesn't
the
make
movie,
sense.
The movie had a little bit of a curse because it's like it came out around the time. Well, so it's in pre-production well before Fight Club,
Yeah.
and then they're kind of capitalizing off of the same thing, and they have a really good presentation with what will end up being the final product of American Psycho. But they just barely miss that window, and Fight Club comes out first, and Fight Club doesn't do all that well, but it's like critically.
It's critically acclaimed.
It's
It does really
critically
well
acclaimed,
on video
and
too.
it does so well on video, and
Yeah.
then it's like I'm
DVD
pretty sure.
especially.
Yeah, I assume that after that, like especially like a year or two has passed since Fight Club came out, that they're expecting that Fight Club audience to show up in waves for that kind of
I think
movie.
a couple things on that. If you look at how they advertise this fucking movie, they advertise it like a slasher film.
Yeah.
And I know we had this as a part of our horror movie thing. It's not a horror movie. I still think it belongs on a list, but
It's scary.
I mean,
it's
it's
scary,
got
but
some
it's-
horror sequences.
yeah, it
It's-
does. But it
It's
is
more of a psych thriller. For
psych
sure.
thriller satire is
Yeah.
more what it's like.
very
and
dark
it does
comedy.
share a lot of like DNA with Fight Club. A lot of like the anti-consumerism, deconstruction of toxic masculinity, consumerism. It does a lot of things very similar. Puts you in the head of someone
Capitalism.
affected by all of this.
Both are books written by gay men.
Yeah, both are books written by gay men. And so
Both are vastly misinterpreted.
vastly misinterpreted and
Yeah.
liked for the wrong reasons. He just like me for real.
Both end up
Um,
as, he just like me for real type.
He just like
type
me
guys.
for real. Now I will say there was one moment in this movie where it unironically went King Patrick Bateman, where he was like, "Hey, cool it with the anti-Semitic remarks.
Okay, but the thing.
Cool it with the me when I'm in Discord or I'm playing like a shooter online. Hey, cool it with the anti-Semitic remarks.
But
okay."
the really interesting thing about that scene, like most of the like supposedly base stuff he says, because earlier he's like, we need to, end racial segregation. We need to
Oh,
end
it's all
apartheid.
performative.
Yeah, he doesn't give a shit.
No, yeah,
he does not give a shit
it,
at all.
It elevates his status to see him as an aware
Exactly.
person. So that's
Exactly.
why
This movie
it's
is
a deconstruction of liberals.
this movie is the necessary stepping stone on the sort of pipeline of Fight Club to American Psycho to the
To
house
transitioning.
to the house that Jack built. Because the house that Jack built also shares a lot of similarities with this movie, but the house that Jack built is like somebody was on Crocodile and they were watching American Psycho
Psycho.
and they were like, this just isn't intense enough.
Yeah, no, I will say we're not gonna get too much into House of Jack because that is on the list. Gotta say, boy howdy, those movies do share a lot of DNA with each other as well, but House of Jack is like it does not hold back and it
Yeah.
doesn't feel as satirical, even though it is also technically a bit of a satire, but it doesn't feel like what that does firmly feel like a horror film.
Yeah.
American Psycho, I can't help but laugh at the killing sequences or anything. Because Christian Bale is also such a good choice because I don't think Leonardo DiCaprio would have chewed scenery as much.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of my favorite things about Christian Bale is that he can be absurdly serious while at the same time ham it up and chew scenery. I think he has less in common with someone like what's his the character actor Daniel Day-Lewis. He has less in common with Daniel Day-Lewis than you would think, than most people say. He has less in common with like Leonardo DiCaprio as a leading man. He has more in common with Nick Cage than anyone else in Hollywood, in my opinion. They are so similar, and their outlook on acting. I just think he's more respected than Nick Cage.
It's funny. It's funny you mentioned that because he talked about, he pointed at Nicolas Cage's performance and what was it, the Vampire's Kiss?
Vampire's Kiss! I knew it! I knew it was going to be Vampire's Kiss!
He pointed to his performance of that and was like, I kind of based a little bit of my performance based on
Well,
that.
it's a similar story.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have agreed with you on the whole Nicolas Cage thing, but after seeing Thor 4, after Christian Bale being one of the only good things about Thor 4, him putting in a genuinely crazy, manic, great performance.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I see the Nicolas Cage thing, but it's interesting you mentioned that because another thing that he cites or another actor that he cites as this influence for Patrick Bateman is this interview with Tom Cruise that he gave. And to quote him, he was like, there was this very intense friendliness and nothing behind the eyes.
Well, yeah, but the difference is, like, Nick Cage is an influence acting wise. Tom Cruise is a
just-
case study that he's like, that's a psycho I could be like.
exactly.
There's
no.
the difference.
He's
you know?
like, oh, so this is just like the guy I'm playing. Okay.
yeah,
all right.
yeah, exactly. And so,
Or
like,
that in a Welsh accent.
and you know, it was, you know, he also pulled from a lot of experiences in his personal life in order to be this, this kind of this killer. I mean, he's used to beating women in his own real life, so he just applied that to the compulsion to kill women.
Hang on, I'm sorry. Wait,
Did you not know that he's been arrested for like beating women? He beat his mother and his girlfriend.
I thought you were
and
just
to
making an offensive joke.
No,
about
no, it to me is true.
to tie
fuck.
Tom Cruise to sort of Patrick Bateman-esque behavior, you look at all of like the crazy shit that he does in his life, and then you take a look at like a humbling experience for him. You look up the history of his relationship with Stanley Kubrick and the shooting of Eyes Wide Shut, because the shooting for that movie lasts almost an entire year, and he had dinner with Tom Cruise and
Nicole
forget-
Kidman.
Nicole Kidman every single night of production for almost an entire year. He had dinner with them. He apparently, the stress he put on them during the filming destroyed their marriage. And to this day, Tom Cruise is like, it was such an honor and joy to work with Stanley Kubrick every single second of it. And it's just like Stanley Kubrick, like if you watch Eyes Wide Shut, it is a movie that is mocking Nicole Kidman and Tom Cruise at the same time, just making fun of them
and
their whole life and perspective
with
on the
something like
world.
that, and it actually like plays to something that kind of happens in American Psycho. So to connect it back again, it's kind of like with sociopaths, they can only really respect a lot of times power and being checked by other power.
Yeah.
That's
you're
the only
right.
way they can see you like an equal with that. And so like yeah, that's why like he has this jealousy of Paul Allen, because by all accounts Paul Allen's just like him.
Yeah.
Except more successful.
Yeah.
But Paul Allen acts just like a complete psycho as well. A
Right.
complete
Yeah.
fucking lunatic.
But that's the thing. Every single person that Patrick Bateman hangs around, and every single one of the
yeah.
men anyway, they all act exactly the same, and
Yeah.
that's why Patrick Bateman blends in so well, because everybody that he fucking talks to is Patrick Bateman.
yeah, I mean it's what is it? It's something like 60% of CEOs
Which
have
goes
like
into the ending
sociopathy.
of him possibly
Yeah,
being
that's
a different guy.
That was there was a famous book or a study about that very thing. It was called Snakes and Suits or something like
Yeah.
that. And it talked about how a high percentage of like Fortune 500
CEOs,
CEOs and politicians are considered to have like antisocial personality.
Yeah.
Which, you know, because in order to succeed in those fields, you have to be just
Soulless. You have to be a demon.
You have to be willing to just
But
fuck
no-
over people you were willing to be friends with right before.
That's the secret in the title, is that it's not American socio, because
Yeah.
everyone else
This
is
is a sociopath. He's a psychopath.
he is compelled to violence.
he is
Yeah.
compelled to
That is-
violence.
that
And that's
is
the biggest
Yeah.
difference.
Everyone else, violence is just a stepping
know-
stone to success. He
Right.
actively has to do this.
So
Yes.
there's
He's
something
like a
I want to talk
werewolf.
about right now, because we can obviously talk about, and I know we're going to, about like capitalism and like you know what it means for the workplace, yada yada. The thing I'm most interested in talking about right now, and this is the thing that's talked about all the time, is the ending. I want to talk about the ending of this movie because for the longest time, multiple times I've viewed it. I have not viewed this movie in a few years. I always remember the ending being pretty clear cut, that it's like in his head, that is like kind of just what it established. It's like, oh, it was all in his head all along. But there's a few other interpretations that have come out of this. So that you mentioned one just a second ago, and then I had another realization. So for me, when rewatching this, at the end of it, I was like, there's a really real way you could read this movie where he's just being gaslit by people to get him to shut up, and that it was all real, and that it's a cover up. Because earlier in the movie, when he's talking to his fiance
Evelyn.
Evelyn, she mentions that like his dad runs the company. And so he calls the lawyer, who's the lawyer for this company and close friends with his dad and everything. And so later when he confronts him about everything, he just tells him to shut the fuck up and drop it. And also when he goes to the apartment to go check it out, Paul Allen's apartment, it's like cleared out fully, and the lady there looks horrified that he's there specifically, doesn't let him leave. Now, of course, that could just be because he's a random guy getting there screaming and being weird, but like, there's a very real way you could actually read this as like a corporate cover-up.
Yeah.
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 Another reading I kind of got this time watching that I never really noticed before was, so there's this running thing in the movie where because part of the movie's pointed sort of very critiques is of like how these people are so self-absorbed and narcissistic that they literally confuse people with one another. Like Paul Allen, right? He confuses Patrick Bateman with some other guy, a guy that like when you see him, what he looks like, he does look like him because you mentioned this earlier. They all look and act the exact same way.
It's all the same.
Black hair,
so-
white guys with glasses.
And so he talks when he has that scene with his lawyer at the end where he's like, "So did you get my call?" Like, no, I actually did all those things I told you about. That was a real confession. It wasn't a joke. And he was like, "No, I had dinner with Paul Allen." So, and I always kind of like you, just always initially interpreted it as, "Oh yeah, so it is in his head." But this time I kind of got, maybe he didn't actually have dinner with Paul Allen. His lawyer didn't. It was just another guy that looks like Paul Allen, but he thinks it's Paul
But
Allen.
it also could be that this entire movie, he is not Patrick Bateman.
Yeah, it could be.
You cannot trust anything you see.
No, yeah.
It is all just a he might as well just be in an insane asylum bashing his head against a wall. Like he'll never know what's real.
Yeah,
You'll never know what's real.
And that's what like it ties into the opening monologue he has where he's like doing his morning routine. Like first of all, I love that because it's just like all the like products he's mentioning, and it's all about superficiality.
Yeah.
It's all about status. It's all about I'm using this made from this to do this. But it's when he puts the face mask on and he's peeling off his own face. He's peeling off the face mask. It's very much goes into that, thematic thing
there's
about
an
masks
idea.
and identity.
Yeah, and he
There's
says
an
there is
idea
a
of
Patrick Bateman.
but there is no Patrick Bateman.
You look at my eyes, you'll realize that I'm not really there.
Exactly.
Yeah. I in general, I like all the different interpretations you can come out with this. But I think what is most important is what Jacob said, which is you can't trust anything he says or anything you're really witnessing is through his lens, because ultimately, and while it's fun to talk about, maybe what could it be objectively what's happening, much like in Inception, much like Paprika, much like Black Swan, any movie like this, it is not important what physically actually happened. What is important is that to the character now, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Right.
Because ultimately, the Patrick, what doesn't matter is if he killed people or not. It's the fact that he has lost his grip on reality, that he doesn't know if he killed people or not.
My ultimate
It doesn't matter.
My ultimate read on what's going on with Patrick Bateman, and I don't mean this to sound ableist in any way towards people if you know a psychopath, because I had a class with somebody whose dad was a psychopath, and it's like they tend to do horrible things, but they can be kind of normal-ish people.
Yeah.
But I mean, they're not. Anyway, it's like it's almost like Patrick Bateman has no sapience at all.
Yeah.
Like he is just doing things. He's just reacting in the moment every single time, no matter what's going on. There is truly nothing there. That's not a metaphor for like, oh, I feel like just a rigid skeleton of basic thought. It's no, there is nothing there.
Yeah.
I am just a guy that does things. You cannot reason with
The
me.
lights
It's
are
like
on,
reasoning
but the
with it.
house is empty.
He's quite literally an amoeba who understands the world around him to a degree that he knows how to climb and how to get to like a peak evolutionary
Not
point.
even that. If his dad owns the company, then he just gets sat in that position and he just reacts.
Well,
to
and I
things.
think that's part of what causes his break, realistically, because like, yes, he is definitely someone who has some sort of, he takes pills and everything. Like he's diagnosed with something, right? Because you see him take his pills right before he kills Paul Allen, right? They're not. He also like, it makes it clear that aside from cocaine and drinking, he doesn't really do pills. He's not into the idea of doing pills because his girlfriend does, and he thinks she's kind of lame for it. But like, yeah, so I don't know what I was gonna say. I had a thought that I literally just lost.
That he's basically Nate Jacobs in Euphoria.
He's basically no. It's just that like he's not just like there is an inciting incident somewhere along the line that causes the break, right? Mm-hmm. People are diagnosed with psychopathy, sociopathy. usually when an episode occurs,
Yeah.
there is a thing,
Yeah,
there's
yeah,
a
a
catalyst.
first thing.
Now, the movie would have us believe, based off of just watching the events of the movie unfold, that the catalyst is Paul Allen's business card.
But no.
But no.
It's
if
probably
anything,
something it happened to him as a teenager.
if I'm going to guess, because like obviously I can't guess on trauma of what happened to him when he was younger because it doesn't hint at anything. The one thing it does hint at is that everyone considers Patrick a loser and boring. And his dad is implied to be the head of the company. And so he is given a position.
Yeah.
And he never worked for it. And not only is he a psychopath, he's a fucking narcissist obsessed with status. And you know that gets to him, that he has no control over his own destiny and his own upward mobility in life. That's why all of his other friends, they don't actually give a shit about work. They talk about doing other stuff. But when his fiance is like, let's do this wedding, he goes, I have to work. And she's like, no, you don't. Your dad runs the company. He goes, I need to be working. He's obsessed. He's actually obsessed with work as well. Not necessarily, that doesn't mean he's a good employee, but he needs to make it right that he's in this position. He can't.
And she presses on him like, "What?" It's just like, "Well, why do you feel that way?" And he goes, "I have to fit in."
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. No, and that's the thing. Like, it is about status for him, but it's just about concealment. It's about seeming normal. That's why he has 3 different monologues about pop music in this movie. And look, I'm not shitting on Whitney Houston. I'm not shitting on Huey Lewis and the News. I'm not shitting on Genesis. They're all great bands. But the speeches he gives are treating them like a fucking Truffaut film when it's like they're pop music. They're adult pop music. They're good pop music, but they're just pop music.
But the thing is, you can
Just like
analyze
Me for
pop
Real.
music. Yeah, just like
Yeah,
Me for Real.
you can, you
You can
can.
analyze pop music like this, and a lot of it is still there with that. But that is why he's so obsessed with it. The same way people who are obsessed with like MF Doom will break down every single line of his and what is the ultimate meaning and how does this relate to his actual life. What you do that with obscure indie media or like what is viewed as artistic music.
Yeah.
He does that with pop music because he's like, I need to break down to its core what
Yeah.
it means to be. That's why in Hip to Be Square, that's the song he chooses. He says not only is it about the joys of what is it? Conformity. Yeah, but it's.
I mean,
it's-
also you're supposed
Also
to
a statement
you're
about the
supposed to
band.
look at the sort of disturbing way that he talks to people. Like
Yeah.
when he's going on those tirades about music, they don't care.
no
They're
one cares.
very-
He's just
they're
doing
very
it at them.
clearly.
He just like Me for Real.
And also
Yeah,
the
they're
tirades
very
that he's
clearly
saying,
not
they
lit-
sound very rehearsed.
Yeah, and they're not listening, nor do they really want to listen. And he kind of even seems like he doesn't want to be telling them, but he has nothing else to say.
It's the same as when he's at the restaurant and he does his whole political spiel.
Yeah.
No one cares, and they're actually laughing at him because it sounds so fake and rehearsed.
I mean, it goes into this whole thing of like how everyone is so self-absorbed and narcissistic that like nobody's even like paying attention to the extremely obvious red flags that that something is very off about him that he
Right.
has in pretty much every scene where he's interacting with another person. Like there's that scene he has with his friends where they're all at some kind of restaurant and he starts talking about Ed Gein.
Yeah, he references serial killers.
Yeah, and then his friends just kind of they look a little puzzled, but they mostly just laugh it off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
Well-
it's like, well, what if one of us is a fucking serial killer? Who gives a shit? They're going to get away with it.
And you know
Yeah,
me,
and-
I love to be. Well, I'm sorry. Were you saying something?
Oh no. I'm good.
I love to be the guy that talks about other movies that we can't spoil on the podcast. But to talk about like the economic and like the sort of mindset of rising and falling. If you look at this against Fight Club, I think they're very similar about like ego and narcissism and things like that. But you have Patrick Bateman and Tyler Durden who are like very similar characters, but Tyler Durden is dirt poor, squatting, basically homeless, and you have this rich guy, Patrick Bateman, and Patrick Bateman is trying to drop himself into the hole. He is like seeking out homeless people. He's seeking out prostitutes. He's trying to get lower and lower and extend his depravity as he goes deeper into this pit. Whereas Tyler Durden is trying to climb the ladder of society in a way, becoming the Patrick Bateman thing that he's fighting against the entire time.
Christy, show her your asshole.
Don't just stare at it, eat it.
Don't just stare at it, eat it.
Don't just stare
I
at it.
love his porn addiction as
Yeah.
well. It's
Yeah.
so good.
Like he's on the phone
it-
and his porn is playing extremely loudly in the other room. Or like when he's working out and he's like has Texas Chainsaw Massacre playing.
Patrick, what's that? Shut up, bitch.
So like his porn addiction is very interesting, along with his obsession with like mixing. We were talking about Hellraiser, like pleasure and violence.
Pleasure.
He is a.
He also
he
would
is-
open the puzzle
he's,
box.
Yeah, he's quite a sadist, and so like yeah, it's very interesting seeing that play out. I do appreciate the movie where it has some restraint, which is why I appreciate that it was directed by a woman, and I think it's better that it's directed by a woman. In that, yeah, there's the over the top sex scene that happens.
So fucking funny when he's just like
Yeah.
looking at his muscles. And
Yeah, no, it's so
fun.
fun, dude. I cannot express how funny this movie is. It is a laugh riot. But like the scene of violence against the women, of like, yes, murdering them, he shows it, but it's very over the top, so it's whatever. But the scene after he like sleeps with them on camera, he sends them off. He goes, "Hold on, we're not done yet." And then he sends them off, and they're all like, they're crying and they're like beat to shit, and he's throwing money at them. I'm glad they didn't show that, because I think that would have been way over the line and way too real. And it's sexual, because that's not just violence; that's sexual violence at that. And I think that it helps that a woman directed this.
You mentioned Cronenberg. I feel like Cronenberg would have shown it, and it would have been
Well,
horrifying. But it's the implication of it that's way more unsettling, I find.
Actually, with David Cronenberg, he actually took out a lot of the graphic violence in his
Really?
That the book itself is like 400 pages, and he wanted the movie to basically be like about 90 minutes, which is what this movie's runtime is about that. But like he took out like basically almost all of the extreme graphic violence, especially the ones toward women.
David Cronenberg, car crash, vagina scar, fly hybrid, shotgun to the head. David Cronenberg, David Cronenberg.
Man's has
Bullshit.
restraint. What can I say?
Also, we did while we were watching it, we established that this is in the Jared Leto extended universe.
It is.
God.
It
With the
is.
Requiem for the Dream connection.
Oh my God, he's
Fight
in
Club
Fight Club
connection.
as well.
Fight
My
Club connection,
God.
yeah.
He is in Fight Club
He's
as well.
GQ in Fight Club. I hate
I
that.
guess that's going to be the new thing once we get out of the Eva connections and we start moving into
The
more
Letoverse.
socio-political
He's
movies.
Morbin. This movie is in the Morbius.
So when
But
we,
Jared
I'm
Leto
just-
has a
I'm-
cult.
My point is Patrick Bateman is definitely canonically in the group of guys with the ass-to-ass scene in Requiem for a Dream.
100%.
I mean,
he's absolutely canonically there. He might even be the old man. Like, this might be the origin story of the old man who yells that.
definitely possible.
Ass to ass.
Thank you guys
Ass
for
to ass, a Requiem for a Dream story.
Yo, okay, so the connection to last week's movie and this week's movie is the sequel to American Psycho. Not that, but
American Psycho 2, starring Mila Kunis.
starring Mila Kunis.
A real thing, by the way. We're not making that
Yeah,
up.
that
If
is
you don't know
real.
about that.
Very
It was straight-
bizarre.
It was straight to video.
was not meant to be an American Psycho sequel.
Nope.
No.
It's a very, very odd movie. The movie fucking sucks. It's terrible.
Yeah,
But
it's
like
missing the point of the movie entirely.
Yeah.
like
They put a broad in the lead role. Are you
What
kidding
if
me?
Patrick
Yeah,
Bateman
and it's
had
like-
like a tight ass and
just
fucking
wa-
fat titties?
I just wanted her to end up with Hyde, and I just don't know why. You know, it was.
No,
Fez
let's
in
not
the end.
mention
Well, it's 'cause he's
Hyde.
sexually
Let's
assaulted
not mention
people.
that guy.
Yeah.
He's a Scientologist.
Danny
and a
Matheson
rapist.
is a rapist.
Yeah, but if we're talking about that '70s show, that's pre-crime.
guys, you can't talk.
David
You can't say that about Danny McBride. That's slander.
Whoa,
Hey,
hang
whoa
on,
now.
hang on. I get that this is a bit, David, but Danny McBride is a fucking international treasure,
a
and if you
king.
insult him one more goddamn time, I will turn your face into a
I did.
fucking
Whoa, whoa, whoa,
pancake.
whoa, 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 whoa! I did.
He-
You
he-
guys did. I didn't slander
He
him.
did it. He did a great job as the Xenomorph in Covenant.
Yeah,
True,
he
true,
did. Did,
true,
did a very
I'm
good.
so
very
sorry.
good job.
American Psycho is a movie that we are discussing, and one of the things that I think is the most absolutely fascinating parts of it is just Patrick Bateman's face, Christian Bale's face. You've seen it in the memes
It's
150
so
times.
good.
now. They're everywhere.
The memes from this movie are
Yeah.
most of them are
They're
fantastic.
amazing, and the movie pays off. Like the parts that are memed are just as funny when you're watching them.
Yeah, no, it's not like
Just
they
in
just
the
took a
movie.
funny screenshot. It's like genuinely in the moment. It is very fun. This
Chris-
movie is fucking hilarious.
It's funny.
Christian Bale's performance in this is like it's an all-time great
Oh
performance.
my
It is
god, it's one of his
amazing.
best
and
ever.
it really makes you really appreciate Mary Harron for like seeing his potential, because at this point, I mean, Christian Bale was a very kind of minor actor who got minor roles. And Christian Bale, when he took this part, he was actually told by a lot of his actor friends, "Do not do this; it will kill your career." And he was, it's like it's career suicide. And he was like, "All right, yeah, cool." And he took it as a challenge. And it actually ended up being a huge breakthrough performance, and it made his career.
Yeah.
Like, without this movie, does he become Batman later? Probably not.
No.
I mean,
Does
probably
he?
not.
Does he become the machinist later?
Yeah.
I think
Oh
he.
my god, that movie.
I think his follow up to this, if I'm not mistaken, unless there's something small I'm missing, was Reign of Fire, the post-apocalyptic
Yeah.
dragons
Gerard-
take over the world
Gerard
movie,
Gerard
which
Butler.
is one of the greatest movies ever
Isn't
made.
it Gerard Butler and Matthew McConaughey?
Gerard
in that
Butler,
movie?
Matthew McConaughey, Christian Bale, and they're
Wild.
killing fucking dragons in a post-apocalypse.
Yeah, it's a post-apocalyptic world set. Well, kind of. It was supposed
where
to
they
be.
confirm dragons killed the dinosaurs,
Yeah.
and then they just wake up.
I saw that
Yeah.
on demand when I was like 13. It was I was like
One of the
what
greatest movies
I,
ever
it,
made.
I
it
was like,
played
what
on
the
the
fuck?
Sci-Fi
It's a cool
Network one time when I was young, in the middle of the night.
That's
and
actually a
it blew
movie
my brain.
because Hollywood loves doing remakes. That's a movie I think could really
I-
benefit from a remake.
Fuck a
honestly.
remake. It needs a sequel. I will hold a fucking pistol to fucking Christian Bale's head until he
You
makes
know what's
Reign of Fire
fucked
2
up?
in
When
Minecraft.
I was young, because that would play on the Sci-Fi Network. You know what other dragon movie would play on the Sci-Fi Network all the time?
the porn one.
Aragon.
Shut the fuck up. No, not that. Dragonheart.
Oh, I love Dragonheart.
Now I did jerk off to Sean Connery as the dragon, but
How can you,
You
not with
didn't
that
watch
silly?
the- you didn't
I
watch-
beat my wife so hard I shit myself to death.
You didn't watch the
what
Jurassic.
the fuck, Connery?
That's what it says.
Randy, are you telling me you didn't watch the Jurassic World Raptor source filmmaker videos on the Sci-Fi Channel when they were airing them late at night? With the raptor with the titties giving the tit job to, I guess, the Chris Pratt character.
Tracer from Overwatch.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, of course.
I'm already
Fudanari
Tracer.
Yeah.
Tracer from Overwatch. By
I
the way,
wanna be
Overwatch 2,
butt-fucked.
they have made it so that like you can't like export, like they have
You
basically
can't
like
make porn of it.
yeah, they've made it, they've deemed like they've DRM'd it so hard that you can't make porn of the characters, and it's upsetting.
When the Library of
Infamously-
Did they
Alexandria
not?
burned.
Yeah. Did they not realize that is unironically why that game got so popular so fast?
And also, I mean, I guess that was to get around the infamous part of Overwatch, which is that the people got into the game files and found nude skin files for all the characters, and they're like, "Oh shit, it's perfect! It's got like a fully animated like
I mean,
jiggle
it,
physics."
it
on
was old Overwatch Blizzard. You know, that's something they would have done.
Dude, the
Good
Cosby
old,
Room.
good old,
Wow.
good old Activision Blizzard.
Wait,
For the
don't you
record,
mean
genocides
Xbox?
are okay if they're
No, wait, real
against-
quick. There is a real parallel
Activision
between what was it? Who's the head of Activision? Is it Bobby Kotick?
It's
No.
Jeff
Yeah.
Keighley.
Was
of
it
the Game
Bobby
Awards.
Kotick?
Bobby Kotick, I
Yeah,
think.
Bobby Kotick and Patrick Bateman. There's a lot of overlap between the two of them. I mean, Patrick Bateman killed a bunch of women.
Good old Bobby.
Bobby Kotick was in the flight logs for Epstein's Island. Patrick Bateman beat women. Bobby Kotick had the Cosby Room at Activision Blizzard, which is a real thing.
Yeah. No, Activision Blizzard was run by, well, probably still is run by huge pieces of
Yeah,
shit.
there's nothing has changed.
Yeah, no, absolutely
there
nothing.
was-
has
Well,
there
sorry,
I
they
know it's
changed the name
bullshit.
of McCree to Cassidy.
No,
So it's
they're owned by
fixed.
Xbox now.
Yep.
Okay, so now it's just more of the same.
They're just gonna implant instead
Bill
of
Gates is also on the flight logs.
Instead of assaulting women, they're gonna implant chips in their heads to make them easier to
Oh, of
control.
course.
Yeah, that way
course.
they can just program consent.
Don't worry, darling.
Anyway, one thing I do,
That's not the plot of Don't Worry, Darling.
I don't know what
unless
that movie-
unless it is. Who's gonna watch that piece of trash?
I don't know how to transition into this, so I'm just going to go ahead and
Chris
say it.
Pine in Don't Worry, Darling is just like Patrick Bateman. Patrick Bateman, American Psycho. Go.
I thought that was Gary Styles.
Gary
No, that was
Styles.
Gary Sinise, you
So,
idiot.
Patrick Bateman in this movie. Patrick
Why
Bateman.
didn't we
was
get to
actually-
see his cock? Why didn't we get to see his erect cock and him masturbating his erect
You
cock?
I'm gonna
can't. It was the chainsaw, and him masturbating it was the side of the woman.
Okay,
gonna-
why didn't we get to see Christian Bale's erect
I'm
cock?
going to
and
make
him
Columbine look
masturbate?
like a fucking joke.
We
I
do
swear
get to
God.
see bare ass from behind.
You do actually get to see Christian
But I
Bale's
can't
ass.
see his
It's
cock.
pretty
He-
nice,
He has an
honestly.
insane physique.
Yeah.
It is horrifying, his physique.
Well, and this is actually a semi-decent transition into what I want to talk about, but I think a lot of what this movie is saying, like, yes, it's satirical about Wall Street guys, it's satirical about extreme wealth, but I feel like, I mentioned everyone in this movie is some form of a Patrick Bateman, But specifically, Patrick Bateman strikes me as he has everything. His dad is the owner of the company. He doesn't have to work. He's rich. All this cool stuff that he's doing, going to all these cool bars, cool restaurants, it does nothing to him. He doesn't even really seem to get pleasure out of it. The only thing he seems to enjoy is murder and mutilation and massacring.
And going on the plane with
and
Jeffrey
going on the plane
Epstein.
with Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah.
Like, it's a funny joke, but like I feel like he probably would, just because it's like, well, what else can I
Definitely.
do? And
Yeah.
it really speaks a lot to like, well, when you're
He
that
opens
rich,
Richmond's box.
when you're that rich, like what else left is there for you to enjoy, you know? And it's really a dark reflection of that question of like, no, yeah, you would become a murderer. You would become a pedophile probably if you were that rich and you had that
Look,
much spoiled shit in
I
your
just
fucking
want to
life.
say straight up, the worst crimes that are happening on the planet, you don't even know are possible.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. No, they're doing shit with people's blood vessels you can't even
one
imagine.
of the very real things that
No,
the ultra
that's
wealthy
a human word.
Yeah.
It goes beyond that.
There's a very real thing that like the ultra wealthy actually do that blows my mind. There is a bird that is like, it's kind of like a canary. It's like very adorable. It sings a beautiful song, and ultra rich people will pay to eat it, and you eat it whole and like bones and all. And the way you're supposed to eat it, and this is not even a joke, you have to wear a blindfold and do it in the dark because it's too sinful to look at yourself and at it while you're eating it. And that's why it is like, and that's a real thing. Did you ever see that fucking picture of Jeffrey Bezos eating the iguana? You ever see that? It's insane.
Yeah,
Look,
and
it's
Patrick
insane.
Bateman would be bored of that in a year.
Jeffrey Epstein had scientists on his island at parties, and I am not shitting you. This is true. You can look it up. Jeffrey Epstein was planning to like build a insemination factory to inseminate women with his sperm to create a race of
Supermen, yeah.
Epsteins.
Yeah.
It's not even just because yes, the
And he also
insemination
wanted
factory.
to make himself into a cyborg.
Yeah.
He wanted
He wanted to be
his head and cock put onto a robotic
Yeah,
body.
you know what's the wildest part about that? That like all that stuff that came about Jeffrey Epstein are the same exact things that independently Elliot Rodger came up with for
Yeah.
his ideal future, which another American psycho, Elliot Rodger, and unironically, a lot of things are similar between him and Patrick Bateman in this movie. Elliot Rodger, if you guys don't know, he was a mass shooter who shot up a beach
in a YouTube vlogger.
yeah, and a YouTube vlogger. He shot up a beach in California.
which
Which
year was this?
Oh, it's like 2013, 14, something like that.
All right.
Anyways, TLDR about him because he's actually very similar. He was a nepotism baby. He was born from a wealthy family. His father is a movie producer. And I think his dad has an Oscar for a documentary or something like that. Like his family is like connected decently well, and he didn't really have to work for anything. He was always gonna be set up to do something. Everything was always paid for. He was actually at the premiere for the Hunger Games. You can actually see him on the red carpet for the Hunger Games. It's actually insane. But the thing about it is that like ultimately he never could get laid because he's an incel. And he blamed like women in society and blah, 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 blah. And he had these violent tendencies and urges. If you read My Dark Twisted World by Elliot Rodger, which is his like fucking 1,000-page manifesto, which I never read it. I listened to it in the middle of the woods in a cabin for 8 hours straight. Yeah, that's real.
Okay,
I was
why?
with Charles,
Oh,
and
okay.
he
All right.
hooked it up to a
No,
Bluetooth
it makes all
speaker. I know
sense now.
he's. For context, one of my best friends ever, his name is Charles. He is 6'8". He is massive, and he hooked it up to a Bluetooth speaker, put it on full blast, and put it in the rafters where no one could reach. It's for 8 hours. We were just drinking and smoking and going insane, listening to an audio version of a mass shooter's manifesto. And so I know way too much about Elliot Rodger as a result.
I was about to say that's a little alarming that you know so much about him.
Charles is one of the most terrifying people I've ever met. Every single interaction I have with him, the question in the back of my mind is, will he grab me and pop my head like a zit?
Yeah.
I would literally die for
No,
that,
but
man.
like Elliot Rodger, but as a result, I know like Elliot Rodger is very similar to Patrick Bateman. So this is like, it's not just like, it's a great biting satire of toxic masculinity and like mental health and like consumerism, but also it is just accurate to how the mind of someone like this does work. He feels Elliot Rodger felt he wasn't getting what he deserved in spite of everything being handed to him. He didn't get the one thing he wanted that he deserved. Patrick Bateman, he's bored of everything, but he also feels like he deserves respect.
Yeah.
He deserves people to accept him. And, the ultimate slap in the face to him, not only did he not earn anything himself, his dad gave it to him. You can tell he resents that, even though he probably wouldn't like it on the opposite end. On top of that, everyone who thinks he's someone else and they shit talk Patrick Bateman to his face.
Yeah.
Well, Patrick Bateman's a weenie.
Yeah.
About how he's a lame, weird nerd that no one likes. And you can tell probably because he's this kid who's weird, says weird things, and was given his job by his dad.
Yeah.
And so they resent him for that too.
And that's the thing. Elliot Rodger, to me, just from what you're saying, 'cause I feel like I probably haven't even heard of this guy until just now.
If you know the guy who's sitting like this in his car and there's a big glare coming through and he's like, "Hello, women. How dare you not sleep with me?"
Jordan Peterson? No. Elliot Rodger to me sounds like Patrick Bateman without like the 1 or 2 levels that's keeping Patrick Bateman from going full Elliot Rodger. Like Patrick Bateman, I feel like there is some pressure among his friends to like, well, you can't just like murder people
Or
in
not,
the
because I
fucking
mean
street.
he does.
But he
go to
does. He
killing-
does murder
yeah.
people in the fucking street,
Didn't
or does he?
Wasn't Elliot Rodger the original guy who sung the Big Iron on His Hip song?
Oh,
Or was that Marty Robbins?
That was Marty
Oh, that was
Robbins.
Marty
That was Marty
Robbins,
Robbins. You're mixing it up.
With the big cock in his balls.
Where does Wayne
He come
Newton
to suck me
fit
off
in
here
here?
on this dusty big old road.
Damn, that's
I
crazy.
fucked him in the ass with my 7-foot chode.
I hate everything that is going on right now.
He was
Same.
tiny and he had a mouth that was soft as shit.
I
fucked him in the mouth with my big old iron dick.
You're driving
My
me
big
up.
old iron dick.
I got balls that jingle, jangle, jingle,
Jingle,
jangle. I got balls that jingle all the way. That's how that goes, right?
I was going to sing the one song from Fallout 4 that you cannot sing.
They
Which one?
What?
Bingo Bango Bongo. The really, really racist one. But I forgot that it was racist right before I was about to sing it.
Okay. Okay. What's wrong with it, Jesse?
Go ahead.
What's wrong with that song specifically?
The whole song's about how he finds a guy in some
Bingo, bango, bongo. I don't
somewhere in
wanna
the
leave
Congo,
jungle.
and then
No,
the whole
no,
guy
no,
is like,
no.
it's a really racist.
I never really
song.
put that all together.
It's incredibly racist.
But just saying that, you
No,
know what?
no.
That's
Hey,
racist.
no.
But Marty Robbins was also racist and a piece of shit.
the chorus is civilization. I'll be right here. You know the idea that it's like I don't like civilized society.
I really hate that.
no, it's
so
the
much.
white people's idea of yeah. I'm not
These Yakubian devils making this fucking music. I swear to God, you got Yakubian devils making that, and you got fucking right wing psychos like Marty Robbins making music. You know how psychotically right wing he is. You ever heard the song Ain't It's Ain't I Red?
Oh,
It's a super anti-communist song that he wrote that was the campaign song for Ronald Reagan.
Of course.
It's
You know,
he reported Woody Guthrie to the the board of un-American activities.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the McCarthy shit.
he's
Yeah.
a Fox News correspondent. He's a piece of shit.
Marty
Yeah.
Robbins?
Marty Robbins was a Fox News correspondent.
Did he? Oh,
Yeah.
that would make sense.
That actually makes perfect sense.
yeah, he's scum.
Speaking of right wing pieces of shit with a first name starting with M, Matt Walsh, it recently came out that he was like, no, yeah, you should be able to impregnate 16-year-old girls.
Oh yeah, no, it's because he's an American Psycho. American Psycho, quite the fucking movie that is. It is yet again. It's unsettling when you think about it, but weirdly enough, it is just funny. Laugh riot, even when he's killing people, like when he's like having sex with his like childhood friend, and then he starts killing her. It's not like he's stabbing it. He's like eating her. He's like, ah. And he like comes out for the sheets. He's like, ah. He's like got blood all over his face.
And then he runs.
And then he runs at her. But not only is he running at her naked, he puts on his like sneakers with his fucking tall socks and just starts chasing her and just waving the chainsaw around.
He points the chainsaw at her like it's a fucking rifle.
And he aims it at her and drops it on her. It's so wild.
Obligatorily, I have to bring this up. I brought this up when we were watching it, and I don't really think anybody understood what I was saying. So we'll see if the audience gets it. So you've got Willem Dafoe, Jared Leto, and Christian Bale in this movie. They each play characters in superhero movies. I think 2 each. You've got Willem Dafoe, who plays the Green Goblin, and Volko in Aquaman. And then you've got the Jared Leto, who plays the Joker, and Morbius. And then you have Christian Bale, who plays Batman, and Gore from Thor 4. Gore, Thor, and Gorgon. Yeah. Gorgon, Thor, and Thor.
This is
and
actually
Gore.
the Gore the God Butcher prequel because this is
Yeah.
where he does all the butchering. The God
So-
part doesn't come yet.
So the interesting thing about that is that they each play a character from a Marvel movie, and they each play a character from a DC movie. But the even more interesting thing that if you look at the groupings, then you've got Morbius and you've got the Green Goblin, and they're both kind of enemies of Spider-Man. And then you got Gore, who's like an alien who doesn't really ever interact with those characters. And then if you look at on the other side of things, you got the Joker and Batman and Volko, and Joker and Batman are kind of enemies of each other, and they live in the same city. And then you've got Volko, who's just like an alien who does his own thing. And that's just, I think, speaks to the lack of variety of characters in superhero movies more than anything else. That you get
They also are casting 3 white dudes.
you
Yeah,
get,
it's-
you get
Okay.
3 actors who are in both of these universes of movies, and they end up playing like 3 variants of characters that they're interchangeable.
Jacob, I'm going to be honest. During that entire rant, I was about ready to just turn this into a shiv and stab you in the face, and then you brought it all back at the end.
I was very curious.
Yeah,
for this
you
bit.
brought it
honestly-
all back at the end.
At the end of
So-
the day, Jacob, you were really just driving me fucking crazy with that. Like I was losing my fucking mind.
You were
listening
becoming
to
an
you.
American
I
Psycho.
was on the edge of it. All right, you're driving me to drink and you're driving me to violence, just like our next movie, The Shining. Let's go, baby! Stanley Kubrick's The Shining, Jacob's #1 film of all time.
#1.
The rest of us didn't organize ours into a ranked list.
Yeah,
Jacob
you didn't tell us to.
Well, I said organize it how you want to. For
I
me
said
personally,
too.
and David agreed as well personally, like no particular order for both of us.
I really
But,
don't know if I can pick a number.
No, that's
one.
yeah. But Jacob is the kind of person who likes putting things on a ranked list.
Yeah.
Yes.
So his #1 movie of all time is The Shining. Jacob, anything you want to say in the lead up to that?
This is the most butt fucking movie ever made. It's just like no
You better
matter
huff whippets.
no
or-
matter what your take on it, if your take is it's the best movie ever made, or your take is that it's horribly overrated, you're both wrong. There's no fucking answer to this movie, and there's almost no reason to discuss it, which we'll make next week very interesting.
Very cool. We'll all just do mushrooms and we'll just trip balls while vaguely connecting things. It'll be like Room 237, that documentary.
Yeah,
It's a movie.
It'll
No,
be like that.
This is how you talk about The Shining. You sort of ponder if the moon landing was faked for about a solid hour.
You talk about the Native American genocide for a while.
For the next
Yeah.
hour after that, you all just sort of cry and hope you don't get dementia. And then that's how you discuss The
very
Shining.
cool.
And then Jazz from Transformers shows up once or twice.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes perfect sense. So I would like to remind all of you that this podcast is usually available every Saturday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the YouTube channel. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the bell notification, by the way. That is very helpful for us. That'll notify you whenever we post a new video. In fact, you hopefully have already seen, but if you haven't, go check it out. Our first commentary, it is on Rob Zombie's Halloween, the 2007 remake. Unless you're in Brazil or Italy, I hope you have a VPN because a copyright troll did take us down for a while, and it is blocked permanently in those 2 countries, but everywhere else it's available. So I fought with them hard enough to make that at least
What's up,
possible.
Ireland?
Yeah, so there's that. That'll be fun. Go watch it. I think it's like I think the commentary is really good.
Yeah.
And we're gonna be doing another commentary. I'm not going to announce yet, but get stoked on it. It will be very fun. As well, you can check the audio version of this podcast available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, Google Podcasts for the Irish people.
What's up, Ireland?
What's up, Ireland?
How
What's
you
up?
doing? I love your cars.
I'll be getting the next episode of the podcast sewn into my skin. So if you see me,
You
then
see
you
my-
can get it through
Yeah,
that.
he'll have the Spotify QR code just
No,
like.
you have to hold up a record player to me and sort of just move it around my body.
You're gonna take a razor blade and make grooves in it,
Yeah.
similar to
real,
and then
real
you
shit.
take a
I do
needle
want to
to-
get like a QR code tattoo.
That's
That
gonna
goes-
hold
that
up
goes to
very
the
well.
GIF.
It goes to the GIF. It goes to the
Yeah.
GIF.
All right. Well, thank you all so much for watching. We will see you all for another horror movie. Remember, all the movies on the wheel this month will be horror movies, or at least horror Halloweeny movies.
I'm gonna be
there's
and poop my pants so hard.
I know there's about 42 movies on this list. So the first one was American Psycho. Next week we're doing The Shining. We'll see what we get after that. Thank you all so much. Good night.
Here's some horror. I'm stuck in a man's body.